I was going to say, have you ever, like, interacted directly with a spirit and had any kind of communicate, like they were trying to tell you something to tell somebody else, or that kind of
yeah,
thing? So
through the readings.
Through the readings.
But, I have to say, when I do the readings, I don't really hear them in a clairaudient way. Some psychics do. I hear them in my head.
In your head.
Which is hard to describe about hearing them in my head. It's like I see a movie in my head, and then I sort of like read the words as though it was a ticker tape.
Right. And you read it that way.
And I'm reading it, or I see pictures and they're describing. So the messages come through me to the person.
So the pictures are the words.
The pictures are the words. It's a puzzle piece. Yeah. And I'm so used to doing it right now that it's second nature to me. It would be hard to, I think it's impossible for me at this point ever to have a normal job.
Do you think most people could open themselves for that experience, or do you think most people are scared and they're closed to it and then they don't see or hear this stuff? Or if they do, they just block it out?
I think everyone has the potential of psychic ability. Everybody. It truly is a sixth sense. There might be more senses. I mean, we're only using a small portion of our brain.
Of our brain, right.
Some of us more than others, but that's a whole other thing. But the fact is that I think that there are so many people who are blocked, and if you realize that there's nothing to fear, it's not, and it's really quite natural. There's really nothing supernatural about what we're talking about. It's been here since the beginning of time, and it's going to be here long after we're gone. And in the next wave of however the world's going to develop, it's extrasensory perception. Psychic ability is actually even more accepted by scientists now. Sometimes when I'm doing a reading and I sit there and I look at these people and I wonder, am I just picking up like, am I mind reading? And then all of a sudden, a name comes of a dog that they had in childhood, blurts out of my mouth. And that is not so much for them as maybe it is for me to assure me that it's not mind reading. And they're and that's why I tell everyone who comes, I say, bring a tape recorder, because I don't remember what I say when I have no memory. I have no memory of the person a couple of days after I see them. I mean, I'll see them on the street, and it's a vague recollection, but
it's just gone at that moment.
I don't remember them.
Oh, wow.
Because I have no idea what the cards mean. I have no idea what tarot cards are. I know nothing about any of it. I did study theosophy. I studied psychic arts. I studied parapsychology. But that's it. I know. I don't know about what the books say.
Well, I think it's a great ability. I mean, because you can help a lot of people through that process. But I do think that the people I talk to are either very, very afraid or closed. They're just scared of it, because they don't understand. I think a lot of people are afraid of the demon aspect.
Well, the demons, I mean, I know there are a lot of people who don't believe in that side of it. I actually do believe that they're there. I think you just have a choice how much you want to open yourself up to it. There are people who even come for readings, and I'm wondering why they're there. They have their dark glasses on. They're sitting like this,
closed.
And they're standing in front of a firing squad, and it's almost impossible. And unless I see your eyes, I don't even want to. You might as well just leave. Yeah. And I think there's only been a few people that I've actually said, can't do this. And there have been people that I've not wanted to do readings for anymore because of the energy that comes from them. It's kind of sad to say, but it's true.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about when I had the nonprofit, I did conferences, and I had this woman from Massachusetts who had this kind of a machine that she'd take a photo of your head, but you put your hand on this magnetic thing to pick up the aura.
Yeah.
And some of them were very, very colorful, and others were just pitch black around them.
Interesting.
It's shocking what I saw some of the pictures.
That's interesting. That says a lot.
I had, at the time, I had indigo color with a white splotch.
Oh,
above
you're
the-
a constant learner.
You know,
You're
and,
always open to learn new things.
And then I went to two South American Mayan shamans and to ask them questions a couple of years ago. And one of them verbalized that they went for my birthday and went through the whole calendar, the Maya calendar. The other one didn't speak, he had a translator, but he used all kinds of rocks and stones and different objects that he would throw out, and then I would ask questions and he'd start moving things around, and the interpreter. But and it was two different times. They didn't know, either shaman didn't know what the questions I was asking. They all both told me the same thing, which I thought
That's
was
very cool.
very unique.
That's very
How
cool.
they picked up the questions I was asking, both of them stating the same thing. Yes, I'm a big believer in the shaman world.
I am too. Because they're dealing with earth energy. They're dealing with stuff that's ancient and way beyond. I know there are people, and I trust, there are people who are into astrology and all this, and it's too technical for me. I believe what's coming from the earth and the energy from the earth and from the sky and nature. Everything's in nature.
Well, it's like a dog who starts barking at
Oh, yeah.
somebody. They're picking up
Oh, they're
something we
picking
may
up
not
right
be picking
away.
up immediately.
Yeah, listen
They pick
to
it
your
up
dogs.
fast. They're
Definitely.
aware. Or if you meet somebody or you shake hands, all of a sudden you feel, this is something not right. And your kind of hair stands up. You're saying,
Oh,
this
definitely.
stay away from this individual. I mean, I run into that a lot
I do
over the
too.
years.
I've actually
You know.
felt nauseous after readings or before readings when people have come, and I hope people who may be listening to this don't think it's them I'm speaking about, because it's probably no one from around here, but there have been people who have come for readings where when I've seen them walk in, I've actually, or when I think they're going to ask me for a reading, I've literally hit the ground and done a soldier's crawl up the stairs away from
wow.
them. It's like no amount of anything is going to get me to sit and do that. I mean, I can't, after a while, I can't even speak. It's like, it's so draining, I just want to fall asleep. And like I said, it's the spirit work that's important. The other stuff, everybody's power is in them. I don't think you need crystals. I don't think you need, anyone else to remove curses. For one thing, there is no curses. You can lift it with your own mind. The mind is everything. If people are walking around saying I'm having a bad day, yep, you just made a bad day for yourself, folks.
As soon as you say it.
Yeah, as soon as you say it. The power of words said aloud, just like prayer said aloud.
Right.
It puts the energy out there, it makes it happen. That's how it works. And when people are walking around saying I'm in a bad mood, and that kind of creeps around like a oil spill through the whole indirection. I'm not saying you have to walk around and be like, Zippy the Pinhead, but
Well,
what a nice image.
Thoughts create emotions.
Thoughts have power.
Thoughts create emotions. Emotions create your behavior and how you feel.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole thing. It's the thoughts
Yeah, it's all thoughts,
that generate it.
the positive visualization is part of it. I mean, yesterday I shouldn't say that. Well, I was actually I took a day off and we were in the mall, and I'm sitting there with my son David. I was having a little sandwich, and a woman that I hardly know at all comes up to me and goes, "Do you remember me?" And I looked at her and I thought, I don't know you at all. And then she starts telling me all her problems as the sandwich is just going into my mouth. And I'm like, this is what I do. This is what I do.
Right.
And you know what? I guess I signed up for this somehow.
I guess you did. Well,
And it's funny.
it was meant to be.
It's meant to be.
One of the things I've run into throughout the course, going to all the places, sometimes I'll go into a building like a restaurant, where I'm going to eat or something. I'll get 5 feet in the building, and all of a sudden my hair will stand up on and I'll say, no, there's too much negativity, and I'll back right back out and leave and go to another restaurant or another place. It happened to be in Saratoga Springs a number of times in some of those buildings on Main Street there.
God.
I've run into that a number of times up there.
You know how crazy I look jumping from table to table?
Or you do that
And muttering
too?
to myself.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh my God, I can't sit here. Oh my God, I can't
Whatever
sit here.
you're picking, I mean,
I'm
it's
picking
just...
it up.
But I do think there are people who are definitely sensitive to things and others aren't. But that's why I was asking you if you think everybody is open to it.
Well, I think everyone could be open, but sometimes sometimes you're better off if you're not. Now, I have done a lot of research about people who are clairvoyant and mediums. There's an awful lot of us who have had high fevers as a child. And I just kind of putting that together, that maybe the fever triggered something at an early stage.
Opened up a channel too.
Years ago, I had a man who was a neurologist. Did I say that right? Do one of those things on my head, that, with the little things. What do you call them?
I know what you mean.
You know,
Electric,
those things.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm telling the camera those
Right. Those things. Yeah.
Those things. We all know what those things are. Anyway, he had that machine which registers your brain waves.
Right. Yep.
He said that and this is when I was doing an awful lot of readings. Actually, I'm doing more now than I did back then. But he said from what he saw, my brain worked the same way as a person, an epileptic, say the word for me, epileptic, who is having petit mal seizures.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Don't know if it has any kind of connection. Not to say that I'm that, but the brain goes the same way. It's almost like something's going on. Something's triggered and words are flying, and so it's actually manifesting in a sense of a physical condition as well. I do suffer from incredibly bad migraines, and that's maybe part of this whole thing too.
I was going to say, before I just remembered, back in the shamans, I asked them about the encounters with the spirit world, and that I had a lot of fears around it. This is a number of years ago. And this is the one that couldn't speak. He just rolled out the crystals and the stones and everything. And the interpreter said, the shaman is telling you that there's nothing to fear of the spirit world, the other side. And if you feel there's a lot of negativity from that situation, just close your heart off and you'll be protected. You don't have to worry about it. You can control it, And that's how, he explained it to me.
I like the fact that we're doing this interview also in October because of Halloween, which is actually extremely, as much as I love Halloween, it's an extremely serious holiday because it's the time when it's Samhain, when in the ancient tradition, it's the festival of of the New Year. For the witches, for the old, it's the old Celtic festival of the New Year, when the veils between the world are the thinnest. So the creatures, not only the ghosts,
right,
but the fairies, the goblins, any other otherworldly creatures can roam the earth. And I think it started, I guess, about 2,000 years ago, the festival of Halloween. And people wore masks back then, and I believe it started in Ireland, was to hide your appearance, disguise yourself so the fairy folk and the goblins don't find you and drag you back to the underworld.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and then of course in America made it the Candy Fest and all that.
What is it? I think it's in Mexico where they actually one day, or is it one
the Day of the Dead?
Where
That's
they have
November
a picnic
2nd.
and family gets.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
We're going to celebrate that too. We have some plans for that. Halloween is followed by All Saints Day, which is November 1st, and then we have All Souls Day, which is the Day of the Dead, November 2nd. And that's when we celebrate our deceased loved ones and put put a drink or food out for them at our table and ate with them. So.
But I mean, I don't know very many people that would take their family and celebrate on their loved one's grave and that kind of thing. The cultural differences.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I was, a few years ago, I traveled to a very strange little Caribbean country named Saba. And what I liked about Saba was that they buried their relatives in their yard with their little gravestones right in the yard. Like, you open the door and there's your mother's grave with the gravestone. And I was like, this is kind of cool. You can have the whole family here. And to me, it was sort of like, it was a kind of a cool, macabre novelty. But when you think about it, most Americans wouldn't think that way. You know, they have to remove death and keep it we don't talk about that.
Well, people are afraid of that, I know. But if they had an understanding of the other side, I think a lot of fear would go away for people.
And it's funny because nowadays people are wearing one of the big things. Everyone's wearing skulls,
right?
And it's such a big thing. We have skull jewelry and skull clothing and all this kind of thing. And one of the reasons I myself have donned the whole the skullish and the kind of gothic clothing at times is a reminder of mortality. We're going to die.
Yes.
And I'm not afraid.
Right.
And because I've seen too much about what's over there, and believe me, folks, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Well, that's how I feel about it personally.
Yeah, and it's just a little reminder that live life now, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you may die. And until then, enjoy Woodstock.
That's right. Exactly. Okay. The one thing I didn't ask you, where was you born and brought up?
Oh, I was born on Staten Island, New York.
Oh, okay.
I was raised in a very conservative part of New Jersey where I stuck out literally like the sore thumb. Those were my days under the church, like the Phantom of the Opera.
Right.
And I came to Woodstock only 6 years ago because my friend said you should have a store, and we happened to get the store, and here I am. And I'm very fond of I didn't know her that well in life, but one of my grandmothers is from the Carpathian Mountains of Transylvania.
All right, that's what I was wondering.
And she was so cool. She looked just like, in her youth, she looked like Björk, the singer from Iceland, who's like, I don't know, 4 feet tall, and she's just like very bizarre and very cute. And Grandma used to tell me about all the fairies and the creature people she'd see, men turning into dogs and the flying people and all.
So you inherited maybe through her.
Yeah, kind of did. And she was never afraid. She used to go out and stand in lightning storms and feel the energy from the lightning. So I think I got a little bit of Grandma.
It sounds like you did. It definitely sounds like you did.
And she was a real hoot, shall we say. But so I think I'm more like her than anyone else in the family. And I'm appreciating that more now.
Well, I can see why you would.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I'm taller than Grandma.
Oh, you are?
I'm 5 feet tall.
Is there anything you'd like to tell the viewers? Before we end.
At this time of Halloween, especially with the spirits creeping all around and flying and coming around, they come through music too. So if you hear a song on the radio and you keep hearing the same song, and it was a special song that your loved one, it meant something, either from a parent or a loved one, don't think that it's a coincidence. I think that a lot of times songs are sent. It's easy for them to use radios, TVs, anything, any electrical thing. And we are living, of course, in the technical age where they can come through. Every wire, they're electric. They're basically, right now, little orbs of energy. And we just see them as spirits the way they want us to remember them. Because maybe the beautiful woman may want to be remembered more than just a ball of light. She wants to come in a form that we would remember her best. But basically, if you take a picture, especially with a Polaroid camera, you'll catch spirits. If you see orbs in your pictures, they're spirits. They're everywhere, and don't be afraid.
I know sometimes I've been in situations where I swear I've heard them calling my name or talking to me or something, and of course, when I've been concentrated, it's just gone then.
Did
when
you
I try
have a
to-
fever as a child?
I
bet you did.
I don't
You
remember.
ask
I'll have to
your
ask my
mother.
mother
Ask your
about
mother.
it. If I mean, I had whooping cough and a lot of other things,
I mean-
but who knows what if I had
I think maybe your brain was a little...
twisted
Cooked a
there,
little.
cooked a little bit,
A little
and opened that
fried.
channel up a little.
See, it's...
But I
it's
always
weird.
had a lot of fear of it as a kid and teenager. I was always very scared of it. I would run around cemeteries. I'd run around. There was a funeral parlor there. I'd run around across the
And
street.
yet you were in them.
But yes.
And yet you were in them. He liked the cemeteries.
Yes.
Cool.
Well, I want to close the show, and I want to thank you very much for
Thank you. It
taking
was
time
fun.
out of your busy life and
Thank
coming
you.
here and explaining some things to our viewers.
All right.
And I want to thank Dave Saxman, our producer, for doing this wonderful show for us tonight. And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
That's
Yay.
right. And have a great day. Thank you.